Support for Just Seen It comes from Warner Archive Instant. Streaming hard-to-find movies and TV shows direct from the studio at WarnerArchiveInstant.com. Support for Just Seen It comes from Weaver's Coffee and Tea, makers of hand-roasted artisan coffee and hand-blended tea. Learn more at weaverscoffee.com. Riddick is left for dead on an unforgiving planet. Finding an abandoned outpost, he activates an emergency beacon.
Bounty hunters.
But what arrives only threatens his life even more in Riddick.
Hi, I'm Sean.
I'm Aaron.
And I'm Brenna, and we're here to talk about Riddick, the newest installment in the Riddick series. We've all just seen it. Who wants to start us off?
The film was written and directed by David Twohy, who wrote and directed the first two films. Not a whole lot going on here. It picks up shortly after Chronicles of Riddick. They wrap it all up in about 45 seconds. He was betrayed by the necromongers, and now he got sent to this planet. And he just kind of runs around, kills some monsters, and then some mercenaries show up, and he starts to kill them. And that's about it.
And it's 118 minutes of that.
That's a big problem.
It is a long 118 minutes.
Yes.
I thought the first 20 minutes might fit into the so bad it's good category. But when the mercenaries show up, I was just like, well, Riddick is kind of smart, and the mercenaries are really dumb.
Yep.
And I know exactly where this is going, and I just kind of sat there waiting for the movie to crawl to an end.
Each act of this film, all three acts, belong to a different film each. The first act is the stranded, lost somewhere. The second act is the mercs trying to out-tough guy each other. And the third act is want to be pitch black.
And they get progressively worse.
Yeah.
Honestly, there isn't a lot to this story. It's mindless action, Riddick killing a bunch of things. It's a certain type of entertainment for a certain type of audience. Dave Bautista, who's actually a WWE wrestler, is one of the bigger and more imposing mercenaries, and he handles his material well. It's good to see that he can be a big tough guy in a movie because he's going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy next year.
None of the characters are fleshed out enough to where I can say that there's any good performances. I do think that there's some good casting going on in terms of type, and Katie Sackhoff would be one of those. I mean, she's kind of basically playing the Linda Hamilton Terminator 2 character.
She has nothing to work with is the real problem.
But she has presence.
None of the actors have anything to work with.
Vinny D does. Vinny D
He's
is
got
killing it.
his one-liners.
I mean, that's all that you need is he has the presence of being an action star, and I think that after doing 2 Riddick films, he's kind of figured out what's the best way to play Riddick.
I really wanted to like this movie because I love Pitch Black. It's one of my favorite sci-fi movies. I love the character of Riddick. I played the Riddick video game, and I'm really into this character. And when they came in here with these really shallow characters and has Riddick interacting with them, they've completely ruined his character. There's a really sort of sexist, almost misogynistic undertone to this film. We have 2 female characters with dialogue. One is on screen for 30 seconds before she's shot, and then she dies in front of Riddick to make him feel something? Don't know. His face is impassive. She's never mentioned again. The second character, played by Katie Sackhoff, her name is Doll, and on top of that, she has a bit of dialogue that might hint that she's a lesbian, but, you know, Riddick is such a cool, big, awesome guy that he can turn anybody. And I get it. I get that this is a film that's for those young, testosterone-filled audiences. But it didn't have any of that in Pitch Black. It's not necessary. We have definitive proof that you can have an awesome sci-fi movie with strong characters, particularly strong female characters, without a single boob, and it will work.
That's true. But
Pitch
you know
Black
what?
had 3 strong female characters. This movie had more boobs than strong female characters.
Well, you're hitting on something in terms of, I think, the anti-hero, which clearly Riddick falls into this category that's been in cinema for a while, which is kind of the villain that we like to root for. And you could possibly argue that some of the sexist and misogynistic elements are just channeled through that character and not necessarily through the movie. But I think the problem with trying to have a good anti-hero is you have to put him up against good characters aside from him. He can't be the only person throughout the entire picture that has any moments of interest whatsoever, and unfortunately that's what this movie does.
Grant any last wishes? was referring to you.
Not that the chains aren't a hot look. But no. I'm not gonna straddle you in front of all these guys.
What if I killed all of them first?
Yes, he is an anti-hero, but he's never been gross. He's had some moments where he's trying to be intimidating and particularly just to be a terrorist, because the first film, he's a terrorist. But he's never been this blatant with it, and it's completely out of character for him.
Although Riddick is definitely a subpar picture, fans of the series will enjoy themselves, but they should do so at home, so I say stream it.
Riddick, skip it.
Riddick has some great parts, but overall, it's a letdown. Wait for somebody to make a greatest moments compilation on YouTube. Until then, skip it.
Our votes add up to a half ticket, which is a skip it for Riddick.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Vinny D.
Vinny D.
Sean is the audience for this film. Okay.
And I didn't like it.
Support for Just Seen It comes from Weaver's Coffee and Tea, makers of hand-roasted artisan coffee and hand-blended tea. Learn more at weaverscoffee.com. Support for Just Seen It comes from Warner Archive Instant, streaming hard-to-find movies and TV shows direct from the studio at warnerarchiveinstant.com.